Hi, we're acquainted Curious Volumes. My name is James. Today is Friday, so I'm going to do my Friday reads video, um, in which I'll tell you about what I read last week and what I'm going to read next week, and also some of my various bookish ruminations. So it's been a pretty good reading week. I read three books that were rather short. The first one being Turn of the Screw by Henry James. This was one of the books I said I was going to read this year in my very first BookTube video. So there you go. Henry James's The Turn of the Screw. It's a Victorian ghost story set at a country house in which two young children have been adopted, and there is a new governess who's been hired to see after them, with the stipulation that she never contact their legal guardian, who is their uncle. Never contact the legal guardian, no matter what. Just don't bother him about them. If you have questions, deal with it yourself. So that's fine. And this woman wonders what became of the previous governess. And also, for various reasons, she starts to wonder what became of the guardian's previous valet, or valet, I think they call it in England. And yeah, there's all kinds of mysteries and questions. I won't say too much about it so as not to spoil it. But this was one that I selected not only because it was on my list for this year, but it's the month of May, and there's the horror mayhem event going on. So people are reading and talking about horror novels. So yeah, I recommend Turn of the Screw if you like Victorian stories and ghost stories. If you want to give Henry James a try, uh, this is one of the books that he wrote after he switched over to dictating his stories, and some say he got kind of convoluted and difficult once that happened. I didn't find this terribly convoluted or difficult. It is beautifully written, perhaps overly fussily written, but I really enjoyed it, and I say it is worth a read. So another horror story that I read this week was Stephen King's Carrie. This was Stephen King's first novel, published in 1974, I think, and it was the first Stephen King novel that I've read. It is not that good. I can't say that I didn't get some pleasure out of reading it, but it's kind of, I don't know. It's kind of I didn't care for the way it was written. It uses this kind of modernist technique of interspersing with the narrative newspaper reports and academic papers and things that are other perspectives on the main story. I think that they kind of chopped it up and made it kind of dragged it out more than it needed to be honest. I don't think that most of them really added all that much to it. The ending, or the climax of the story, has a lot of sort of, I suppose you could say, pyrotechnics. Different voices all sort of coming together in a polyphony. Um, I did like the character of Carrie, um, and Stephen King very effectively kind of gets you to have some sympathy for her, up to the point that she starts doing things. I don't know how much to spoil Carrie. I mean, this is a very well-known story also, but I think I like the movie better. So there you go. Some other people have been talking about. I think Greg, another bibliophile reads, did a Jaws the book versus Jaws the novel the other day, which you should check out. But I'm gonna say, yeah, the movie, Carrie. I like it better than the book. I will read another Stephen King someday. So, okay, and then another book that I read. Well, actually, I listened to it on audiobook. Is a new release called "Nuclear War: A Scenario" by Annie Jacobsen. Not a horror novel, but a horrifying story that left me feeling very bad at certain points. This is based on interviews and documents about what we know of the capabilities and capabilities for nuclear war and the preparations in place for nuclear war, and possible ways that it might get started and escalated from there. It kind of reads like a thriller novel, and it's broken up into just like little snippets of time, but everything takes place mostly within less than an hour from the initial launch to the death of hundreds of millions of people. As I say, kind of a depressing book. Um, no doubt there are people who read a lot about nuclear war and preparations for it who will quibble or say that she's interpreted certain things to make it more exciting. Um, but it made me think about a lot of things. And there's a lot of things that if you don't think a lot about nuclear war, you might get an interesting answer to in this book. For example, do you think that the United States has the capability to shoot down an incoming intercontinental ballistic missile? Do you think that they have many chances to do it if they do have that capability? How many weapons do they have that can counter these incoming missiles? Do you think that do you think that Russia can detect incoming missiles? How accurate do you think their capabilities are? In the event of an incoming nuclear attack, you probably know that the President of the United States has the authority to respond and the duty to respond. How long does he have to make that decision? If an incoming attack is targeting the location of the president, uh, and he is being pressured to come up with a response, and the Secret Service is also trying to get him away from that location, who takes precedence? The national security apparatus, who is trying to get a response from the president, or the Secret Service, who is trying to save the life of the president? Interesting questions. Um, See, this is making my dog very anxious. It's making me a little bit anxious thinking about it. But anyway, it was very thought provoking, and it might give you nightmares. That is Nuclear War, a Scenario by Annie Jacobsen. So that was the third book I read this week. I've started on another book from my list of classics for the year video, and that is The Red Badge of Courage by Stephen Crane. So this is a classic of the Civil War. It's not very long, so I'll probably finish it this weekend, I suspect. I have this really cool modern library edition with an illustration of a battlefield on the cover. Um, so far, it's pretty good. It's kind of surprisingly modern in certain ways, and that is it's sort of all from the viewpoint of one recruit in the Union Army, and it sort of traces his mindset as things develop. Going from boredom to depression to pumping himself up. to saying, well, maybe it'd be best if I just got killed very quickly when the battle finally starts. Fear and nerves and so kind of almost a stream of consciousness kind of a novel, which was not really what I was expecting. But as I'm only about a fifth of the way in, so we'll see where it goes. But so far, I like it quite a lot. That is The Red Badge of Courage by Stephen Crane. I'm also listening to the audiobook of Charles Portis's True Grit, narrated by Donna Tartt, the novelist, and it's fantastic. I'm also, I guess, about the same amount into that, about 20% into that. And Donna Tartt does a very good job of kind of portraying the character of Maddie Potts. I think is the protagonist. I think she's a 14-year-old girl whose father has been murdered, and she is on the trail of revenge. It's I mean, obviously there's a lot of plot to it, but the thing that I'm really enjoying is the character of Annie Potts. It just kind of very willful and very fastidious, wants everything done in a certain way, has almost no sense of humor about anything. It's pretty great. Yeah, I'll tell you more about what I think of that probably next week when I've finished it. Some other things that are from BookTube this week. I watched a very cool video by Heather Reeds called something like Alice Munro Saved BookTube. So this is a response to a bunch of the various booktubers who have been making videos saying this isn't working for me, it's too much work, I don't want to do this anymore, and or saying they feel pressured to do booktube in a certain way, to read certain kinds of books, to get out a certain number of books. And Heather Reeves is relating this to an incident from the life of Alice Munro, Canadian short story writer, winner of the Nobel Prize, who died in the last week. I think that's why it came up. Alice Munro was known for writing short stories, kind of long short stories, but she didn't write novels. And I think she was sometimes pressured to write novels because that's kind of the standard form for serious literary writers these days. But Alice Munro liked writing short stories. That's what she did. She made the art that she wanted to write. So Heather relates this to booktubers who are saying, I don't want to do hauls, or I don't feel like I should do tags. Make the booktube videos you want to make. And that's what I try to do. And not trying to get monetized, not trying to make this into a career or anything like that. Sweet. It did make me think, though, about monetization. I'm far from it. But I think my kind of outside wildest dream of YouTube success would be to get monetized and make enough so that I can pay for YouTube Premium and not have to watch 25 thrift books ads a day. Of course, to do that, I have to be monetized, so if you were watching me, you'd be watching more thrift books ads. So I guess it's kind of a trade-off, isn't it? Prisoner's dilemma? I don't know. How many views do you have to get to make enough money? I think it's $14 for YouTube Premium. How monetized do you have to be to get $14 a month from YouTube so that you can send that back to YouTube? And essentially it'd be a wash. I don't know. I wonder about that. And another thing that I wonder about was I did a tag this week, the the Isaac Newton tag created by Reading Ideas, and I tagged Nicole at Noteworthy Fiction. She said she was interested in doing it and thought she might be able to do it with one book as the answer for all. I think there's 10 questions, which I think is a fascinating idea. I myself came up with one book that I think would work for all the prompts for the Isaac Newton tag. I won't tell you what it is, but had if you have a booktube channel, have you ever done this? Have you ever come up with a single book for, you know, 6 to 10 or 12 tags, however many prompts there are on a tag? Tell me about it. Do you think? I mean, that probably makes for a bit of a boring tag video, or maybe it's more exciting. How's he? As you get to the end, is he gonna be able to pull it off? I mean, of course he is. We're just making stuff up as we do this. We're not lying about the books, but what you can. I myself like to take slanty ways of answering some of these prompts, and most of the people I enjoy watching do as well. So let me know if you've ever seen that done, a single book to answer all the prompts in a tag. And I'll leave with one more recommendation, which is I watched the movie American Fiction on Amazon Prime Video last week. It's based on a Percival Everett novel, and it's really good. It's based on Everett's novel Erasure, which I have not read. But it's about a writer of literary fiction. It's partly about some of the culture war issues and of today, but also about family and honesty and self-respect and self-image, and it's a lot sort of more. It's a lot more tragic than it seems from the way it is marketed. It is kind of made to seems kind of like a mainly a satirical kind of romp that lampoons pretentious literary society. It's partly that, but it's more something else, something kind of more dramatic and deeper. Not what I expected. Very good, and give it a chance if you have it on. If you have Amazon Prime Video and you're looking for something to watch. So that's what I have this week. Thanks for watching. Talk to you later. Bye.